All right, so there's these videos making the circulation again about conversion disorders. It's something I read about back in 2020 during the pandemic. We saw a lot of these videos circulating. And for a lot of people, this brought clarity on what we needed to do to get better. I had already been undergoing years and years of treatment and only getting worse under the doctor's umbrella, because they kept making it about psychiatry and psychological disorders and not addressing the neurological conditions, the problems with my neck after several car accidents, the hemiplegic migraines that have only gotten worse, the vestibular migraines that have gotten worse, the cluster headaches that have gotten worse, and the vision impairments that have gotten worse. Because despite doing every treatment under the sun for migraines, I have since developed complex migraines. Could it be that I developed the migraines because of my trauma? Very well could be. No one is saying that's not what happened, but now you need to treat the migraines. A lot of the medications that you use for psychological disorders and conversion disorders actually make migraines worse, causing further gastroparesis. And every time you go into the hospital with all of these tummy problems and they do an x-ray and see that you're constipated, the first thing they want to do is give you medication so that you won't be constipated. What that ends up doing is making the migraine worse, oftentimes causing a ripple effect like idiopathic pancreatitis, contractible vomiting, stress colitis, and severe infections from people who are no longer filtering all of the shit themselves, because conversion disorders cause dysautonomic effect that affects the entire body. So if you are just beginning your journey learning about conversion disorders, please make sure that you do your research and you advocate for yourself. Even if that is the case, yes, see your therapist, see your psychiatrist, but also make sure that not only do they have a plan to put you on those medications, they have a reduction plan and a safety plan in case you develop side effects. Not new medications to put you on to address the side effects, and then the prescription momentum will go on and on and on until you're on 20 different medications and no longer able to function on your own. Because I was bedridden in 2020. I couldn't get out of bed from all the medications I was taking, and the gabapentin ruined my memory. So please, if you are barely learning about conversion disorders because it's making its rounds in the metaverse, get informed. And make sure that your doctors do not gaslight you into not doing the testing for cardiology, for venous insufficiency, for brain problems. God, my fucking brain is words, brain problems, and all of the different musculoskeletal problems, because you need to be in consistent physical therapy. You need to be in consistent mental health therapy. You need to be consistently monitored for your heart, for your lungs, and for every other part of your body, because it got to the point where I was even on COPD medication. That's how bad my lungs were being affected by what's happening to me while doctors were ignoring me in 2020. And I still haven't gotten the records for it, but I'm pretty certain that what was happening to me at the time was a spinal fluid leak. And I remember pulling the IV, but that entire 3 or 4 days that I was in the hospital from New Year's Eve until January 3rd or 4th is very it's just glimpses, because my mom was handling all of my care. So make sure that not only you find all of your records so that you can advocate for yourself. I'm still trying to collect all of my records, but also make sure that they don't just pawn you off to psychiatry and then forget about all of these other problems. Because once they pawn you off to psychiatry, they make it seem like all your symptoms are psychological, and they are not. And migraines are very serious and very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous, and people do not take them serious. And they put us at risk, returning us back and back and back into the abusive situations that we were in. So if conversion disorder is something that you are worried about for your own body, make sure you do your research. Make sure you attack it from all angles. This includes the spiritual aspect. Get close to your traditions and your culture so you can understand your own culture and understand where some of this came from, so that you can remove some of that cultural trauma off of what you're experiencing, so that the doctors only have to deal with some of the layers. Because if they're trying to deal with all of the layers of your trauma, they're going to struggle understanding what is actually happening to you. And if they are people who do not believe in spiritual and traditional differences and they make biases based on your beliefs, get rid of those doctors like that. I don't care how good they are, get rid of the doctors like that, because they will make mistakes consistently on your case, making assumptions on knowing, thinking that they know what is going on in your head, and they have no fucking idea. They have no idea. I've even been accused of being a non-vaxxer, and I am not. I am all for science. I understand science well enough to understand that y'all are taking some parts of the equation out and only focusing on the medical aspect and the psychological aspect without including traditions. Keep that in mind. Holistic healing requires all forms of healing, not just what you've been taught. And if you can't take that into consideration, you will never be a good doctor for somebody who may be experiencing conversion disorders, because you'll always send them to psychology, and psychology will always harm them worse, because a lot of them are biased, ignorant, and retarded when it comes to how people's environments can truly affect and make conversion disorders worse. Keep that in mind. I love you and have a good day.